Fauci was at the Senate. He did not answer any of the 100 questions or so that were asked to him when you realized the pandemic might not have a natural origin. Or did you know that beforehand?
He knew that.
Were there plans to actually release that? So was that an accident or was that on purpose?
It's not an accident. No, it was on purpose.
Hi everyone, thank you for watching. By law, I have to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes only. All videos are property of Psychic Liz Cross, LLC. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing Psychic Liz Cross. How are you doing today?
Amazing, Mr. Photon. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we're going to do a mind probe on Fauci. And I just want to preface this saying, for those that don't know, I'm actually not American. I actually don't have any, horse in the race when it comes to left and right. I'm just asking questions. Just wanted to put that out there before anybody makes any kind of assumptions. If anything, my bias is probably against abuse of power, and that goes for both sides of the political spectrum. So just to put that out there before we start this, but let's get into it. Let's ask some tough questions because for those of you that don't know, Mr. Fauci was at the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee last week, and he pled his Fifth Amendment rights, which means he did not answer any of the 100 questions or so that were asked of him in the Senate. But we don't, unfortunately, when we mind probe him, he does not have the right to exercise his Fifth Amendment rights, unfortunately. So unless we'll see, maybe he'll try and do it psychically. You want to bring in Fauci?
I've got him here. That's so funny. Have I ever had anybody during a mind probe try to plead the fifth? No. That's funny. Right. What would you like to know?
So there's obviously 100 questions that were asked of him. So I'm going to try and do my best. And this is going to be a part one and part two because there's a lot. I have like 20 tabs open here of different things that I want to ask. So this is going to be pretty in depth. But let's ask some questions related to the pandemic. So what was the first reaction that you had when you realized that the pandemic might not have a natural origin? Or did you know that beforehand?
Did you know that the COVID pandemic may not have been? He knew that.
Okay.
Not natural origin. Yeah, he knew that. He was fully aware of that. He had been watching that facility for a long time. They knew that it was dangerous.
Okay, fair enough. That's kind of what the things that I've looked in my research seem to point to now, looking back. So what were they doing at the Wuhan lab? We now know they were doing gain of function research. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it is a euphemism essentially for bioweapons because they're basically taking pathogens and they're making them stronger than they are in nature. And they may or may not have any sort of, remedy for that if it gets loose. So that's more like bioweapons than health research. So why was the administration of the NIH funding gain of function research? How was that legal?
What was the NIH funding gain of function research? Well, he's saying they weren't. What do you mean they weren't? The NIH, the National Institute of Health, they were funding the lab. Not directly. So, everything is very literal. And he's saying not directly.
And how does he feel about the gain of function research? Would he classify it as a euphemism for bioweapons?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So now we know what he actually thinks, as opposed to what he says in the media. So what was your role in the Wuhan lab and gain of function research? What role did you actually have, if at all, any directly with that?
What was your role in the gain of function? To monitor the activity.
Okay. And what were the goals, the actual goals of that research of gain of function on something like COVID?
Well, to see if they had a weapon, a functional weapon that would be open for purchase.
Oh, okay. And who would they be trying to sell it to?
No, the military would want to buy it.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So they're doing what the military can't do because bioweapons are illegal there's conventions that were drawn up, 30 or 40 years ago against the development of bioweapons. So Is it so they're kind of doing the dirty work for the military industrial complex? Is that
Yeah,
basically what's going on?
were they doing the dirty work for the military? Essentially, yes, is what he says.
Okay. Were there plans to actually release that?
Are there plans to actually no, not that he's aware of. No, what,
Okay.
as the US release it?
Well, I mean the lab.
Oh, the lab release. No.
Okay. So was that an accident or was that on purpose, to his knowledge?
To your knowledge, was it on accident? No, it was on purpose. Now, that aligns with the video on my old channel that got taken down.
Yes.
If you remember,
Mhm.
I did a whole video about they purposefully put it on somebody's hand and they sent that person to the market, which is why this market concept came in, that it ended up at the market. Yes, because they purposefully put it on someone's hand to
Okay.
test it out. Now, how they were increasing its potency was through the use of frequency dials. So they were increasing it. If you remember from that probe, those of you that have been following me for a long time, I put that out there and they didn't understand how potent they actually made the virus. They thought that it wasn't as potent as what it actually was. And that's
I
how it ended up in the market.
I remember that now, and that actually just gave me an idea. Were they using a particle accelerator to increase the potency of, was that the device that they were using or something like that?
Accelerator that was it. No.
Was it like radiation like there's a device called a LINAC. Okay, this is where I'm trying to get to. And this is like old technology. This is from a long time ago, 60s, 70s, 80s, where it's a device that produces a ton of radiation and it was used in the past to shoot at pathogens to make them stronger. This is what I've read has been done in the past. Is this what they're still doing today at these labs? Are they using a LINAC?
Are they using a Renac? They used to. They don't use that anymore. It's a different type of technology.
Okay. Is it still basically the same idea, just shooting radioactive or radiation at the pathogen?
So basically, yeah, it's just radioactive. Similar, yes. It is a similar idea, yes.
Okay, interesting. Sorry, that just came to my mind because I never made the two connections now with what you probed in the past, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit later in the probe if we have time to explore that. I wasn't prepared to go into that. But okay, so Fauci. So does he believe that he's going to be charged now? I mean, for those that don't know, he's under a 10-year immunity from the years 2014 to January 2025. So anything that he did that would have broken the law during that time, he is not allowed to be prosecuted for. But right now, he's pleading the Fifth Amendment, and I believe, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously, that he's not allowed to invoke the Fifth Amendment anymore because he's under immunity. So, does he think that he's breaking the law by pleading the Fifth?
Do you think that you're breaking the law by pleading the Fifth? No, it's within his legal right to do so.
Okay. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I can't say whether it is or it isn't. He seemed to be doing it fine during the hearing. So, what is it really trying to hide by pleading the Fifth? Is there something that's really, or is it just everything that he's been involved with?
What are you really trying to hide by pleading the Fifth? Like, what, all the details?
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into some of those details, I guess. So, some of the things that were asked during the hearing were about hydroxychloroquine and the what's the other one? Ivermectin. They were saying that the information that's released now, it shows that Fauci was briefed on these things, and he's in emails, I guess, saying that he knows that they're effective. But then in the media, he goes on to say that they're not and tells a different story. So why is there just this discrepancy? Why did Fauci seem to have evidence in his possession to show that this was effective. And then in the media, he was basically saying the opposite. Is that true? I guess we should ask first.
So, I'm sorry. I'm totally confused here. I'm sorry. So he basically, what was effective?
So hydrochloroquine and ivermectin, supposedly there's emails to show now that, or briefings to show now that he was briefed on this stuff. He knew about it. He knew that it was effective, but in the media, he was saying the opposite. So I guess we're
Oh,
asking.
that. Okay, hydrochloroquine. And you knew it was he's very aware of that.
Okay. And was he briefed at that time that it was effective and safe?
He agrees at that time that it was effective and safe. Yeah, he's known that. There's independent research that is out there. Yes.
So what happened between him getting that information and then taking the other side? Were there orders to tell him not to do it? Was it his own personal opinion not to do it? What?
Did you then say that it wasn't because scientifically there had not been enough research where it was tested specifically on the COVID virus,
I got
right? You
you. Okay.
see what, and that kind of makes sense.
It does.
He would be irresponsible if there were adverse effects from a load of people taking these, taking these hydrochloric, whatever it is, and ivermectin, and then coming down with other effects later on, even though it got rid of, it wasn't,
Side effects, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't FDA, there wasn't enough research.
Gotcha. Well, what was his opinion then on the mRNA? Wasn't that the same? Couldn't you argue the same side for that then? Because it was brand new and there was no research on that at all. There's actually, I guess, more research than on these older drugs than the new one that he was promoting. So he didn't feel that that was an issue.
So what about your opinion on the mRNA? What did you not think that was an issue, or no, it wasn't supported. It just wasn't supported.
Okay. So why were the mRNA technology, why was that supported instead?
Because that's what got approved.
Okay. But it has less studies behind it than the other two substances we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but this was tested on the COVID virus specifically.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking. So one of the questions I did hear asked, which was quite strange, I thought, was this person, I'm not sure who it is asking why taxpayer dollars were used to send transgenic mice that contained the body parts of supposed aborted 5-month-old babies to China to the Wuhan lab. So what does that mean? So they basically were growing human body parts on top of mice. That's what the transgenic mice means.
It's at the lab?
Yeah, they were sending this to Wuhan. So why were they doing this?
Okay, I'm confused. Who was sending it to Wuhan? The US?
The University of Pittsburgh grafted baby scalps onto mice and rats. Let's ask if that's true. Supposed pictures here of it.
Okay. That is true.
So why, like, I can't imagine. I can't guess what they were using that for. So we're gonna have to ask, does Fauci know what they were doing with that?
Does Fauci know what they were doing? Yes, he does.
And why? And what purpose?
Well, they were trying to create a disease and create a cure.
Okay, so this was separate from the, lab leak that we saw? It's just something else?
Yeah, this is something separate. And I feel that they were trying to do like cell research.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that was. Like, are the cells more powerful in the in the babies than there are in the adults,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
is what I'm getting.
Okay. Let's move on. We'll do a few more here before we get over to the other side of the second part of this video. I got a lot more to ask. All
This
right.
is some pretty thick stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna get thick for sure. Okay, so this is to do with his comments that he made in the media about the safety of the mRNA technology for pregnant women. So, according to this report, there was an alert given to Fauci from a Nobel Prize winning professor who actually worked on the mRNA technology. And he basically warned him that the studies that they were performing, the uterus was taking up the substances from the mRNA technology into the ovaries and uterus. And then later, Dr. Anthony Fauci is publicly saying there's no red flags for pregnant women. So, what is the truth about that? Let's ask him.
What is
Was he
this?
warned about this beforehand?
Were you warned about this before, so pregnant mothers? Yes, he was.
And why is it that he gave the exact opposite advice in the media?
Why did you get the exact opposite? Because they thought they were going to create a herd immunity.
Okay. Is there any evidence to support that?
Did you have any evidence? At the time, yes,
Okay.
that by everyone having the injection would, prevent it from spreading because everybody would be immune to it. So even if it harmed a fetus, I mean, they didn't care. They didn't care if they harmed a fetus. It was better, in his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, to harm a fetus than it was for a whole collective, country to die.
Okay. All right. So that doesn't sound good. I have a question. Somebody brought this up. Why was he put in charge at the time? Because what I read, and I don't know if this is true or not, is that there's a department called the HHS, and that's actually who is in control if there is a bioweapon or a something happens where there's a biological incident, and I think you would classify that
Mhm.
as such, that they take control in these situations. Now, at the time, Dr. Fauci was not anywhere in the government. He was actually brought out of retirement and kind of made the de facto head of leading all of this stuff. Who put him, like, whose decision was it to circumvent the chain of command and put him in power?
Who made the decision to put you in command? It was a unanimous decision. They took a vote.
And who was this, like the current administration at the time, the Biden administration?
No, it was a lot of health officials. They thought that he would know more and that he would make sensible suggestions, sensible responses. And again, in their personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, I'm getting that they needed someone to be the fall guy. They knew
Oh,
that.
okay. All right. Well, it seems like that might be coming to a head now with these hearings. But he finally might be the fall guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this over to the second part of this video, which is going to be for our members. I'm going to get into some other things too. I was watching some interviews with Annie Jacobson, who is an expert on things like biological weapons and nuclear weapons. She studied it quite a bit. And I've heard some kind of scary things about what's actually going on now behind closed doors. So I want to figure out what's actually happening now. We're talking about things that happened 5 or 6 years ago. What's actually happening in these labs around the world now? And of course, we're going to ask more questions of Fauci, see where this thing all goes. Is he going to go to jail? Is he going to become the actual fall guy? Is there going to be any sort of, you know, is he going to pay the price for some of the things that he did, or will he have actual immunity on this stuff forever going forward? So who's going to take accountability for this? That's the question we want to know. And
Okay.
we hope to see you on the second part of this video. You can go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. And yeah, we hope to see you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.